welcome back to a brand new episode of the Who What Now Gaming Podcast, the show for consumers by consumers, where we ask the questions: who are you, what got you into gaming, and what type of gamer are you now? I am your humble host, Josh Stewart, and today we have brought along Twitch streamer, content creator, an absolute delight to be in a chat while this individual is streaming. Please help me welcome Beluga. How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm excellent. It's a great day. Pollen's super high, as we were just talking about.
Yep.
But yeah, it's not bad. It's not bad. The weather's been really good, at least you know where I'm at.
Yeah, the weather has been on and off here.
Yeah.
It can't make up its mind.
Yeah, I'm definitely. I've said it many times before on the show. I'm a big time indoor cat, so I'd rather be inside. Like I'll enjoy the weather, but through a window.
yeah, maybe like an open window, like
of
feel
course.
a little bit of it come in, but
Absolutely.
Otherwise, staying inside.
Yeah, absolutely. Every so often I'll treat myself and go outside or something, but then I usually about half an hour later, I'm like, I'd rather go back inside now.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm tired. I need a nap.
Of course. Yeah, 1,000%. So let's jump right into it. For anyone who, hasn't discovered you yet, would you mind giving us a bit of an introduction? Who are you? Who is Beluga?
Beluga is I'm just a casual gamer. I have many different gaming interests, but mostly I just do chill streams, at least chill for the chat, sometimes not chill for me, depending on the game.
Of course.
But yeah, I play both video games and TTRPGs. I stream both of them.
Nice.
So yeah.
I love that. I'm a big Dungeons and Dragons fan.
Mm-hmm.
It is definitely one of my biggest passions.
Yes.
And I think it was like one of those moments where realizing that you can play a game that does not restrict you by the standards that like a video game would restrict you.
Yeah.
And so like when your DM says like, what do you want to do? It truly means like, what do you want to do? We will find a way,
open-ended.
Yes, exactly. And there are so many times where, like I'm a player, but I'm also a DM. And so there are a lot of times where, I'll say, hey, like in my head, I have an exact plan. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to, I have this whole, situation ready to go. And I say, hey, what do you guys want to do? And then an hour and a half later, everything I've have written down, everything I've planned, it's in a fire somewhere because it doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah. It's like you plan point A to point B, and whatever happens in the middle is just up in the air.
Absolutely. I always tell everybody that D&D is like at least for like a DM, it's like it's like planning A to Z, but all of the in between letters are completely scrambled. It doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
That's fantastic. So let's I feel like that's definitely a huge interest of mine. So how is the TTRPG world going for you? What are you into right now?
So I play 5e, Dungeons & Dragons 5e,
nice.
as well as Pathfinder First Edition.
Wonderful.
Yeah, Pathfinder First Edition is probably my biggest passion because it is so customizable. I haven't tried Second Edition yet, but I'm definitely like looking forward to dipping my feet into that.
That's fantastic. I was introduced to the TTRPG world through Dungeons and Dragons 5e. So a lot of my hyperfixations at the time were like, all right, I'm going to spend all of my money on D&D related things, and I started getting, everything from the player's handbook, obviously, to like the Dungeon Master's Guide, the monster manuals, to some like modules. I've even gotten into they're not completely linked to Wizards of the Coast, but they're still like TTRPG related things where they it's like random tables, how to build like NPCs,
Mm-hmm.
traps, scenarios, riddles, puzzles, those kind of things.
Yeah.
And then like map books, and I love them so much. And even if I may not use them all the time, it's something that I will always use as like a reference.
Mm-hmm.
But one of my players from a previous game was telling me a lot about Pathfinder, and
Yeah.
so they were super kind and wonderful, and bought me the Pathfinder like manual.
Yeah.
And I started reading it, and you're not kidding, like it is very customizable,
It
to the
is.
point where it's almost overwhelming in a way.
It was my introduction into TTRPGs, and it was very overwhelming at first.
I believe
It
it.
took me a long time to get a hang of it, and actually, one of the ways I started getting the hang of it was just practicing making characters.
Yeah.
And that's how I got into the addiction of making the 100 characters that I'll never play and everything.
Oh yeah, I think we all kind of have that like small
Yeah.
folder. They're like, here's things that I would love to try out, but it's never gonna happen.
But there's one website for Pathfinder First Edition that pretty much houses every single bit of information you need, as well
Nice.
as some third party stuff. And a lot of the third party stuff is still very balanced. And I use that as like the Holy Bible online
Oh, I believe
to,
it.
yeah, to create all my characters. And you can see all of the different archetypes and everything for classes. And so where 5e, your archetype, you know, you have to select an archetype and that's how you play. In Pathfinder First Edition, if you select an archetype, it will completely change how you play that class because it
Okay.
replaces certain aspects of the class, and it's not required. But when you have been playing for so long, you really start dipping into the archetypes to switch it up on how to play, and it's, like you said, so customizable.
That's fantastic. For those who have found us on YouTube and are watching this,
Mm-hmm.
this is the core rule book that I have been given, and it is thick. I'll tell you, it is
Compared
so nice.
to
It is
the
something that
player
is.
handbook of
Oh yeah,
5e,
100%. Yeah. So yeah, there is, and it is crazy to go through here. Like one of my favorite things when researching into TTRPG things, especially like Dungeons and Dragons and now like Pathfinder,
mm-hmm.
I love going to that section of the handbook where there is just a plethora of pages of like magic items
Yes.
and like like gear and weapons
Mm-hmm.
and stuff. I am a sucker for it. I love it so much. And I'll tell you what, Pathfinder, like there is, I would say like honestly like I think it's like maybe that much of the end of the book is just like magic
Yeah.
items and stuff, and it's so good. And I will say, Pathfinder, well done, because the way that the handbook is laid out is very
Mm-hmm.
nice.
Yes.
It's organized, which I'm looking forward to the Dungeons and Dragons 2024 handbook to release, because I want to know what it's all about. There's a
Yeah.
lot of rumors going on about a lot of changes,
You
good,
know.
bad. I've heard it all over the
Exactly.
place.
Yeah.
I want to know for myself, so I will be buying it. But
Mm-hmm.
one of the things that I'm super, super anxious for is that they have reconstructed the handbook to be more accessible, understandable, and the third word I was thinking of.
Yeah.
So
That word.
yeah,
That
that
one
one.
word. Yeah.
Put that in your vocabulary.
Mm-hmm.
But it's going to be very organized. Duh. It's going to be very organized, and so I'm looking forward to that, because the player's handbook for Dungeons and Dragons can be all over the place sometimes, especially if you're looking for an ability for a
Mm-hmm.
specific class, but also you've chosen a different background, or the race of your character, or the build of your character. And so when you're trying to figure out things for Dungeons and Dragons, it's very much like almost like a choose your own adventure book, where it's like, oh, turn to page 25, and then you're like, okay, and then I go there, and it's like, to see this one, go to page
Yeah.
400, and you're like, great, thank you. Like,
One thing I love about the Pathfinder rule book is that the appendix has everything. You
yeah,
know, with 5e, there's oftentimes I'm looking for something and it's like I can't find it in the appendix. But with Pathfinder, if even if you're looking for, like, you don't exactly know the word to look for, if you look for like something like similar, it will be
sure.
there and be like, this is where you need to look. It's like it knows that what you're looking for and where to direct you.
I love that so much.
Mm-hmm.
I thrive off of material having like a very clear organization to it.
Mm-hmm.
Especially because, like, and I know that, maybe for those listening, you're thinking, well, what's the big deal? You mean, that's how most books are. Just look it up, you'll find it, or or the cop out answer, which is Google it.
Yeah.
But also, there is a moment as a player or as a DM, where you will be in the middle of a situation and somebody will say, hey, I want to do this thing here. And so, for example, like, say, you're deep into an underground dungeon. There's a cavern, and the bridge has fallen apart, but there is one stone that is like just on the teeter of being able to be cracked, and it's just tall enough that it could fall, and
Mm-hmm.
bridge the gap. Right. And maybe your strength, maybe you have a very high strength, a fighter or a barbarian or somebody who has like some form of like magical ability to be able to actually move this. But then it's, maybe you need to, maybe it's not quite as sturdy as you wanted it to. The rolls didn't hit, and there's some form of rule that needs to take place for the actions for
Mm-hmm.
your players, and they're going to look to you as a DM and say, "Can I do this?" And you have to. You have two very viable choices, which is we either stick to the rules or we go to the rule of cool, right?
Yeah.
And which is like, hey, this seems like it'd be really cool if it works, so let's dive into it,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm gonna let these things work. But sometimes you get in very, very sticky situations where, maybe, he's running, the last player's running across that gap, and that stone gives way, and they need to jump, but also they're not going to be able to jump the distance that they need because their character isn't built the way that it needs to be able to make that gap. And they need to be able to make a dexterity check while also making a strength check, while also being able to have somebody do use the help action. And then all of these things come into play. As a DM, you have to take all of this information and you have to boil it down, and sometimes you need to go back to that rule book. And if
Mm-hmm.
you can't find what you need to do, it will cause issues later. Say you allow it to happen, and then
Mm-hmm.
another situation happens, maybe a couple sessions down the line, and your players are going to say, hey, you let us do this last time. And you have to look them and say, I didn't know the rule of it back then. I know it worked then, but it can't work now. And it gets very confusing. So
Yes.
for a rule book to have a very precise organization to it is
Mm-hmm.
only going to help your players and your game and your DM make for a smoother path. It needs to be done. So I am looking forward to it, and I will say, like, Pathfinder has, from what I've read so far, has done a pretty good job.
Yeah.
So
Um,
shout out to them.
yeah, I will give an unpaid promotion to the website d20pfsrd.com,
Love it.
because that is the database for Pathfinder First Edition, and literally everything third party and not is there. Third party, official, everything is there, and everything is cited, so you can tell whether
Ooh.
it's PFSRD or Pathfinder official, or if it's third party. So yeah, I unpaid, I promote that website fully.
I mean, hey, if you want to reach out and pay us, so I mean,
Yeah, right?
we're not going to deny it, Um, well, so you've played, obviously Pathfinder and Dungeons and Dragons, but you seem to lean a lot more towards the Pathfinder.
Yeah.
What is it about Pathfinder that draws you to it more extensively?
For one, because I started out with it,
Mm,
it just
yep.
kind of holds that special place, and it's what I've played far more than I've even played 5e.
Oh wow,
So,
nice.
yeah, it's something that I know from the back of my hand pretty much. And if I don't know something, the
The
website.
website.
uh, Secondly, it is the customization. Having played so much D&D and Pathfinder,
Yeah,
um, when it comes to 5e and like the archetypes for each of the class, um, if I play the class with like the same archetype over and over again, there's
sure.
really not many different ways I can play that character. With Pathfinder, the
Excuse me.
amount of customization that you can do just based off of an archetype, or the amount of feats you get, guys. You get a feat every odd level. You can customize it however you want.
Which is super big for those who don't know, because in Dungeons and Dragons, typically you get it
Mm.
every 4 levels.
And you have to choose between the feat or the ability
Yes.
score, whereas the for Pathfinder the ability score is still the every 4 levels,
Mm-hmm.
but you also get feats every odd level.
Oh,
So
it's so
it is,
nice.
you don't have to choose. It's super customizable. I will tell you that for building a character using point buy, you can
Mm-hmm.
go as low as 7 instead of 8, and as high as
Um,
18 instead of 15.
wow. I
Yes.
did not know that. That
Mm-hmm.
is that is nice. That
So
is nice.
especially for those people who really love to min max,
Yeah,
it
to min
can
max.
really be great. You really get a
Yeah.
lot of those points. So,
That is fantastic.
mm,
I definitely I don't always min max when I create a character. I build characters in such a weird way, and I think it's probably because of what we talked about earlier, where like
mm-hmm.
you have like a binder just filled with ideas. And
Yeah.
I have created a lot of characters before. But I have this funny little way of creating characters now, where I will find a personality and then a
Mm-hmm.
voice, and then I will build around that. And so it's never really like, oh, the party needs, a brute strength individual, or oh, the party needs a healer. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
listen, sorry, not sorry, don't really care about the party. Like,
Yeah.
it's the whole point of it is that we're all a bunch of, misfits who get together to
Mm-hmm.
save whatever we're campaigning for. And so when I create a character, maybe it's a goofy voice, or a an archetype that I'm trying to work out or practice or something. um so like I have I DM. So
Mm-hmm.
while I'm DMing, there's a lot of like NPCs that I will create.
Yeah.
And there's a
I'll
lot
do
of
the
times where
same.
I'll create excuse me. Oh, today.
Yeah,
I'll
really.
create an NPC that I really, really love. And but I may not think that, or feel that that character really gets the full, experience that I wanted to dive into. So that usually ends up becoming a character that I'll
Mm-hmm.
play in like a one shot or someone else's campaign or something. And the funny thing is that in a campaign that I'm playing with our wonderful tech guy of the show, our friend of the show, one who basically keeps everything in the background of what you all hear running, Noah Chapman is a DM for a game that I play in, and I've created a character named Vor. and is a character that purely was born out of a basically like a hyperfixation show that I was watching, mixed with an NPC that didn't get the lifespan that I wanted him to, and those two things morphed together, created my
Mhm.
character in his campaign, and it is so fun. It is
Yeah.
such a fun thing to do.
I will say that when building my characters, I'm a little bit opposite of you. So I'll usually end up starting with a concept, especially if it's Pathfinder. I'll usually start with a concept, and because of Pathfinder's customization, I see how close to that concept I can get, which
Love it.
some have worked out really well. Some are like, like they really don't have what I need, but that's like really rare for Pathfinder not to have at least a little bit of what I'm looking for.
Sure.
So I'll start with the concept and then kind of build the character from there, start building the personality, building the backstory. And then I'll have this folder full of these characters, and while I'm DMing, I'm like, well, this is now an NPC in the game.
Oh yeah.
I might never get to tell this person's story, so they're going into the game so I can at least tell a little bit.
Oh my God, 100%. I can't believe I didn't say that. Yeah, that is
Yeah.
1,000%. That failed. Not failed, but like never fully brought to existence character creations. Oftentimes, yeah, they do. They just become NPCs later in
Yep.
someone else's game.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I'm assuming you DM sometimes.
Yes.
Do you have an NPC that you created that you just love so much that every so often makes an appearance in like other campaigns?
Oh, have I? Um, so she hasn't made appearances in too many campaigns, but definitely one of the crowd favorites was this dryad that I had named Willow.
Oh, I love dryads.
And she was just uh she's definitely one that I plan to bring back because she was like a good source of information when going through the woods, and like a good quest giver if I ever have anything going on in like a
Love it.
forest or something. So yeah.
That's awesome. The only reason I ask because I've found that it's been one of my favorite questions
Mm-hmm.
to ask, because I've been noticing that um, a lot of DMs will have like lovable
Yes.
characters that they'll bring through campaigns, and it's sometimes it's the lovable character that you didn't think that it was just somebody you
Yeah.
threw together because you're like, oh, I need somebody in this spot right here, and then your party like adopts them as their
Yep.
like next member, that you're just like, well, I guess this is going along now. I have I've said it many times before. I have two characters that basically just follow all of my campaigns. It's a
Mm-hmm.
little goblin named Swimble, and his best pal who is an awoken rat, and so
Oh,
they're
nice.
just they're just best buddies. They're always in the weirdest predicaments. They always make their appearance every so often. Um, Usually they will get like left behind somewhere because the party will forget, or that they will just they'll have run their time and they'll separate. Um, Recently, in a game that I DM, is the first time that my beloved NPC has died,
Oh
and
no.
yeah, so I was like, oh no, like this is, but it's great. I love
Mm-hmm.
I love that. I think TTRPGs, Dungeons and Dragons, Pathfinder, they they have a way of pulling us all together,
Mm-hmm.
and the creation element is so limitless.
Yes, exactly.
And it's I mean, personally, I have met some of the coolest people just by playing Dungeons and Dragons.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking forward to Pathfinder. It is a little I'm a little nervous about it because it's a whole new ball game. It's something else
Yes.
to learn, but I have heard literally nothing but positive things from it. So,
well, if you ever need someone to teach you Pathfinder First Edition, that is what I specialize in. I have taught like almost
nice.
all of my friends First Edition.
Fantastic. Yeah, absolutely. Now, is it it uses different dice math, right? Like is everything still a D20 system?
Yeah, everything's still a D20 system.
Well, then look at that.
Yeah,
I'll strike
the
that on the
dice
other things I'm
rolling is
wrong on.
easy. Honestly, the hardest part is the spells of the same name in 5e can sometimes be different.
Oh,
And
right.
I found, you know, there are certain spells in 5e that I like the way they work better, and there are certain spells in Pathfinder that I like the way they work better, and like detect magic is a cantrip in Pathfinder First Edition, so it's
interesting.
great. But you can't cast things at a higher spell level like you can in 5e. So it's like, it's a little bit of a give and take.
That's kind of nice though. Do you have a lot more spell slots though in Pathfinder?
You can, yeah.
Yeah.
So my first character was a sorcerer, and I think I had my first level spell slots up to 7.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that would be so helpful.
Yeah. The problem with Pathfinder is
Yep.
there's not really many good damage cantrips like there are in
Interesting.
5e. So,
okay.
yeah.
That's not bad though.
Mm-mm.
I kind of
it's different,
Yeah.
It's same but different.
I will say I think you have become the cherry on the top of this convincing cake, because I have some friends who have been really trying to get me into playing Pathfinder, especially the one who went out of their way to buy me the Pathfinder handbook, and I think you were just the last person I needed to tell me how great this is for me to really actually give the green light and say, all right, let's do this,
I'm glad I could be of assistance. I'm a proud promoter of First Edition. Like I said, I still need to try Second Edition, but I am a very proud promoter of First Edition.
That's fantastic. I love that. Have you, let's transition here into video games, but sticking with the TTRPGs, have you had a chance to look into Baldur's Gate 3 yet?
I have played Baldur's Gate 3. I have not finished it yet.
That's still a yeah.
I'm the person who just like gets to a point, I'll stop playing for a while, and then I come back and I'm like, well, I don't really remember what I'm doing, so I'll just start over again.
Oh my God. Thank you. People look at me like I am insane. I do the same thing, and it is the worst, because I'll play a game that I love so much, I'll put serious hours into it, and I think I did it with Dragon Age Inquisition a couple times. I've done it with like the Spider-Man games. I've done it with Red Dead Redemption. Like, there is a moment where I play it and then something else comes out or something in my life's going on or whatever.
Exactly.
And I just I stop playing it for a while. When I come back, I'm like, oh, I want to enjoy this game. But I don't remember any of the mechanics. I don't remember what I'm doing. And I don't want to fail. So I will 1000% just restart the game.
Yep.
It is, I feel so validated right now.
There you go. We have to stick together.
Oh my God. I have not met anyone. Everyone else is just like, that's ridiculous. Why would you say that? And I'm like, what are you talking about? How do you not do that?
I apologize that my camera sometimes just gets blurred when I move.
Listen, as many, people who come to my stream and people who, watch this on YouTube, my camera and I have a very terrible relationship. I have found the sweet spot in the room where if I sit here, I know I can kind of swivel back and forth
without it
side to side. Yep, and I'm good. But every so often, it decides to go rogue on me and just will not focus on me. So I get it.
I'll just lean forward or something as I'm talking, or adjust in my seat, and then it's like, nope, we're messed up now.
1,000%.
But yeah, so I have played Baldur's Gate 3. I've played it with friends. I've played it solo. So the only thing I haven't done yet is any kind of run.
Ooh, oh, so good.
I my friend is trying to talk me into it.
It is, I will say, and I'm not going to spoil anything because it truly is a wonderful thing, and you know, play it at your own, you know, pace. But I will say I went directly from finishing a campaign, being a full hero, and being in that mindset of like, you know, all these characters that I love and I've gotten to know, and you know, the story, and being the true good hero. And then when I finished the campaign, you know, I sat back and maybe gave it like 15 minutes of reflection, and I was like, I got to start this next game.
Yeah.
And I went right back into it, and I did the dirge, and it was really hard to be super evil, especially of just, you know, playing like 180 hours, being so nice to all of these characters. You know,
it's almost like you need to start as a dirge, burn them all to the ground at in the beginning, and then jump into the story so you can love them and never have to hurt them again.
I'm telling you, that's 100% how I feel, and I've learned that if I just get rid of the characters that I don't want to hurt immediately, and I just keep the ones who are okay with you being evil, it's just so much easier to, like, you know, kind of just be okay with being such a mean, terrible person.
I remember my friend first playing her, I think her first dirge run. And Karlach is my girl. She's my home girl.
There with
Karlach, and like we have a problem.
Yep.
And she killed Karlach, and I was like, "You traitor!"
Yeah.
I was like, "I'm not sure
we can."
I'm like, "I'm not sure we can be friends anymore." Like,
I'm telling you, you really get to know who like your friends are, depending on who's in their party by like Act 2, and you're like, "Hey, real quick question. Why is Karlach dead?" And you're like, you know,
she's just like, "Sorry, I had to." I'm like, I don't think I can forgive you for this.
Yeah, you didn't have to.
You sent me the picture of you holding her head. I don't think I can forgive you for this.
I have played 5 full runs of this game, and it took me until my like 6th run for me to finally like choose the path where Karlach dies. And listen, I feel ashamed. I go to bed crying every night.
Yep.
Yeah, Karlach and Astarion are my two like we've streamed it. Astarion is our love choice, and Karlach is 99% of the time my choice. But it's so good. It truly is. You know what? I'm gonna say it. It's a masterpiece of a game. I love it. The character development, the voice actors and actresses, like it's so amazing. I went to Too Many Games convention and found out that
I did too this year.
What? Yeah. How did we? Bummer.
Well, we didn't know each other yet, so
that's true. That's true.
We have to get that, but
that would have been awesome.
Maybe next year.
I was, man, yes, absolutely, 1,000%. So then, you know, Neil Newbon was there.
God, I can't remember her name. Samantha something, the voice actress for Karlach, was like literally right next to her.
Right?
We were in that area, and I'm just sitting there at like the table where we're like resting because we were walking a bunch. And my husband just sees me like looking over there, and he's like, "Do you want to get an autograph?" I'm like, "No, I don't need one."
Yeah.
No. Hey, He's like, "Just go." I'm like, "No, it's okay. I don't want to spend the money on it."
Oh, I know. I was the same way. I convinced myself that I wasn't gonna do it, and then
I did too. But like, I was constantly looking over there, like,
well,
and my best friend, her dating choice is Asterion always.
Always,
And
every time.
so, like, but because me and my best friend, we have a platonic marriage. She is my
Mm-hmm.
platonic wife.
Love
Um,
it.
I call Asterion my competition.
Yeah.
So my husband's like, "Why don't you get an autograph for her?" And I'm like, "I'm not getting her an autograph from the competition. Are you kidding me?"
Yeah.
No.
Well, I did. Yeah, it was it got down to a point where I was like, I don't know. I knew that I couldn't do both because I didn't have
Mm-hmm.
time. And
Yeah.
we also streamed on Twitch while we were there.
Oh,
And
nice.
so I was walking through and I was like, I'm trying to get, the content. I'm trying to do, trying to run into people and have conversations. And then it was really funny because my phone dies while I was in the middle of stream. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna charge it, be back in like 30 minutes. We'll start stream up again. And I saw the line was going down and that the time was starting to go out. And I was
Mm.
like, all right, I'm doing it. I just jumped in line and I was in that line for like an hour and a half, almost 2 hours. And I regret nothing.
I need to watch the VOD and like just see if I can find myself in the background.
I was actually just thinking about that while you were, telling the story. Cause I was like, I'm going to go through and I'm going to like try to
Yeah, I'm
find
gonna
you.
be like, where am
Yeah.
I? I'm probably like sitting in that like chair right over there or
Yeah.
walking right behind you.
Yeah. I love it. It was a good convention. I really liked it.
Mm-hmm.
It was my first time going to Too Many Games Con, and
Mine
I
too.
loved it. I loved it.
Mm-hmm.
Did you go see the panel with all three voice actresses there with the one who plays we had Orin, and we had Astarion and we had Karlak all
Mm-hmm.
up on stage having doing like a little panel, and it was amazing.
What day was that?
Saturday, I think.
Okay, yeah. So we had gotten tickets for Saturday and Sunday, and then I got my weekends mixed up, and I thought that Too Many Games was the week prior, and my mom had scheduled my dad's retirement party for the actual weekend of Too Many Games. So it's like I thought I was clear for the whole weekend,
Yeah.
and then it turned out I wasn't. So I was only there on Sunday.
Well, I will say, the YouTube page that they have, Too Many
Mm-hmm.
Games YouTube page. If you go back on that day, they have a live stream for the entire day.
Yeah.
And it's funny because there was a time where I was like looking through all of them, trying to see if I could just find myself walking through. Sometimes, and but they have the whole panel on there, and it's an amazing panel. And I shout them out all the time. They truly are amazing. Like even like Neil Newbon is such an amazing individual,
Mm-hmm.
and truly cares about their fans.
Yeah.
And it was so nice to meet someone who wasn't just like, hey, get a picture, let me sign
Mm-hmm.
this, next kind of thing. Like I went up, I spoke to
He
Neil
talked to
Newbon, and
everyone. Like while
it
I was watching the
yes,
line, he was like talking to everyone. And I will
100%.
say they literally could not have found a better voice actor or person for him. Like even in real life he like has that swagger and that charisma, and I'm
Yes.
just like, you just are Asterion.
100%. Yeah, a million times agree. Yes. And I think that truly is where a lot of my respect for Neil Dubon comes from. Because just in not only in the game, but like, in real life, in interviews, even their stream is amazing. And like the presentation, like you said, the swagger, like it's amazing. Truly is an absolute, like, if I could just walk around with gold stars, here you go, there you go,
Yeah.
like.
Did you watch the voice actors actually play D&D on High Rollers as their
I
character.
did.
Oh,
I did.
that was
It was
so
so
good to
good.
watch. That was so good to
Yeah.
watch.
It was so good. They they picked an amazing crew of voice actors and actresses. It was so amazing. Like everyone does such an amazing job. And honestly, I got to say I think that's what makes the game also so amazing. Is that it's not nobody just half-assed their lines.
No, not at all. They
Even
drew you
shopkeeps
into
and
the game.
yes. There and even the like side like NPCs. I made a TikTok a little while back that surprisingly more people agreed with me than I was expecting. But there is a moment when you get to a certain place in the game where an NPC makes a comment on whether or not you and Karlak are together. And I was under the assumption that we were together. Yeah, listen to that. So I was like, I was like, how you doing? This is my wifey here. You know, it's
Yeah.
Karlak, myself. We're walking hand in hand. And then we get to this, this one NPC. And they're like, so how long have you been together? And Karlak's like, oh, no, gross. We're just friends. And I was like, oh, and
Excuse
like
me.
there was a part of me that day that died. And
I
still don't think
stopped
I've
you
recovered.
from lighting everyone on fire, Missy.
I was like, what the fuck? Like, we're standing 5 feet away from each other, and I'm like, did I just get friend zoned by a video game character? Like, this almost hurts more than anything else in my life.
I need to reach out to Larion for this, because has been one thing in like a lot of my group games that we've complained about. We want to be able to romance each other.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let me
Larion
have
Studios,
those little
what's up?
smutty scenes with each other, please.
Goddamn right. Yeah, dude. How come we haven't had that one yet?
Yeah.
Maybe Baldur's Gate 4 needs to come out.
Next patch.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, no, I 1,000% agree. Have you streamed it at all?
I recorded so I have been streaming on and off for years. And so more recently I had been like, I think I'm just going to record and not worry about streaming.
Nice.
So that I really wouldn't have to like worry about, viewer count or anything or anything like that. And
you can cut out a lot of the walking and traveling and stuff.
Yeah, so I was gonna edit and everything. So I had recorded a bunch. We had 4 of us playing together, so we had a whole party. And then, I really hate editing.
Me too, which is entirely why we use this platform.
I am so for those who don't know, I have 2 film degrees.
Do you? I didn't know that.
I hate editing with a passion.
All right, so hang on, hold on. I'm gonna need a map here. All right, so we hate editing.
Yeah.
We have 2 film degrees.
Yeah.
Which I would say notoriously is a big part of editing, right?
Yeah. So my first degree was a like communications degree with like a film focus. So a lot of it was like, like a little bit of a mix, and like the film stuff wasn't completely in depth. Like it was a lot of like, those just videos you film in your backyard with friends and shit like that.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
Though that's where I did learn a lot of the script writing format and everything. So that was really helpful early on. Then I graduated from that and I went to a film school in New York, and there I majored in directing, where you dip your hands into a little bit of everything, but the main focus is directing with like a little bit of writing and stuff like that.
Nice.
So, yeah, I avoided editing as much as I could because I hate it with a passion. I'll say that part of the reason why I hate it is because I am so meticulous, and I'm too meticulous for myself.
Yep.
I am like, I need to cut it right at this like millisecond. Nope, I'm off. Nope, I'm off. I'm just
Yep.
like, I can't handle my own self.
Yeah. Well, and I'll let you look behind the DM screen here. It's entirely
Mhm.
why I chose the free flow, like conversational based
Mhm.
format for the podcast, because I'm very much the same way. And I've been learning all of this on my own.
Mhm.
So learning to edit by myself and realizing that like I will get to meticulous, so that it gets to a point where I almost try to edit less, and I think that's what has
Yeah.
proven, with the with viewers and feedback and stuff, that has been truly something that everyone seems to enjoy a lot more, is the
Mhm.
free flow of the podcast.
Yeah. That's why, so I'm back to streaming now. Still trying to figure out whether I like streaming on YouTube or Twitch more. Like,
Sure.
Twitch is definitely more friendly for both the viewers and the streamers,
Yeah.
but at the same time, YouTube just kind of has a little bit better of an environment, and
Okay.
they're bound to, like, recommend your videos no matter what, at least to someone.
Nice.
Whereas Twitch, if you're really not making them money, they're not necessarily going to be putting your name out there. As far as I understand
Sure.
Twitch, like you would have to dig for the people who don't have as many like followings and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
it's a toss up. So I go back and forth sometimes.
Right. Have you ever thought about combining them?
I have,
Using like an OBS like system, and then just kind of merging them all, so that OBS streams to all platforms instead of just using them.
yeah, I have Streamlabs OBS, and I think that might be a little bit less friendly towards that. Like I think you have to like pay in order to be able to do that.
Okay. Yeah, I've been
Um.
using Stream Elements OBS.
Okay.
It's
So
not bad. I don't know if it's the best choice. It is
yeah.
just the first one that I was able to use, quote unquote, flawlessly.
Yeah. So I mean, who knows? Maybe I'll make a switch at some point. I have definitely thought about doing both. I know it can be a little difficult to keep up with both chats from what I hear, but
Yeah,
might be worth it.
we have a friend of the show, who's also a streamer, Jukin's Lags, shout out, who has cracked the code, in my opinion, and has found a way to merge all three chats from YouTube, Facebook,
Oh.
and Twitch all at the same time on the screen. So when he looks up, it'll pop up and say like this person said, and then it'll have like a Twitch icon, and then
Mhm.
next person will comment or whatever. And like if you're watching on Twitch, it might not show up in the chat, but if you're
Yeah.
watching the screen, it'll pop up like YouTube. This person said this, and so like he has the full chat, but it's switches between platforms, and so like I don't know how he's
Mhm.
done it. And I wanna reach out to him, but yeah, it definitely seems like there is a way. So I mean, that's at least that's a positive.
Yeah. That's really good to know that that's possible because then you just have it all in one spot.
Yeah, 100%. So what have you been streaming?
So lately I've been streaming my playthrough of Devil May Cry, my
Love
very
it.
first playthrough. In the
Which one are we doing? The first one.
first
Number
one.
one. Whoa, nice.
So in the past, I hadn't gotten very far in this game. So like I still considered a first playthrough because I hadn't
Sure,
gotten
of
very
course.
far. And I had trouble in the very beginning with motion sickness, so I'm limited to the games I can play because of motion sickness. But I
Yeah.
ended up getting used to the weird way that the camera moves, and so I've gotten a lot better with it. And so far, despite the grades I get on some of these missions, I feel like I'm kicking ass. So
Absolutely. Honestly, that's what matters. The game doesn't know. You
yeah.
know. Don't worry about that.
Um,
I do understand the motion sickness thing. I don't normally ever get it, but I will say enough time has passed, so I feel like I'll admit it to the world now, and now everybody will know because people have been asking while I've been on stream. I streamed Sea of Thieves one night,
mhm.
and just because of where like how small this room is, I was very close to the screen, and I we took a stretch slash like bathroom break, which in reality I needed I made myself
Oh
sick.
yeah.
I had to walk away. Like I genuinely thought I was going to throw up. Like I was like, well, we might be ending stream
Mhm.
tonight. Like I made myself real seasick off of a video game, and
Yeah.
that was nuts.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I've learned that third pro third person games with a lot of like movement like that um I can get used to. It's
Sure.
first person games I cannot.
Yes.
We're still trying to find ways for me to maybe get used to it ahead of time and then
Mm,
see if I can play them. But yeah,
yeah.
it has limited my games, but I have been lucky that I have been able to get used to certain games. So like one
That's
of the games
fantastic.
I can get used to actually is Warframe.
Yeah.
Uh, so that game I've been playing with friends. It's that one isn't like any kind of like scheduled stream or anything. That's just kind of
Sure.
like, hey, you guys want to play Warframe? Sure. You mind if I stream it? So
Nice.
that is
How you liking Warframe? I've
uh
tried it. How do I say this? I like it, but it's not something that I want to play over and over and over again. But I've also been learning that some games are just better with friends instead of just
yeah.
kind of soloing, and so that has been something I'm learning
Wa-
lately.
Warframe is definitely a game that's better with friends. I usually only play it with friends. Like it's rare that I'll go on a mission alone, and plus my
Sure.
husband plays it, so like at the very least it's me and him.
That's
Um
awesome. I do
but
want to touch base on that, so I'm
yeah,
going to write that
sure.
down.
But Warframe is a game that I love. We played it for a long while a few years ago and we took a break and we're just getting back into it now because our friend is getting back into it and her son is getting into it.
That's
And
awesome.
so it's been so much fun and Warframe is so unique in its just the feeling you get when you're playing it, when you're zooming through a level and,
Sure.
shooting the bad guys and sword play and everything, that it is a game that I think, even with games like Soulframe coming out by the same creator and whatnot, or like I know Divinity has been, is it Divinity or Destiny? One of the two
Destiny?
D, maybe Destiny. It was
Yeah.
one of the two D name games.
Yeah.
Has been heavily compared to it. I'm like, even if I got into those other games, which I do intend to get into Soulframe as soon
Yeah.
as like we're allowed to stream it, I will be streaming it. Um,
Can what? You can't stream it?
well, I don't know. Like right now, like I can't even get into the game yet. but
I see. I see.
like I don't know if they'll allow like streaming of any of the beta or anything like that.
Interesting. Yeah.
Not
No, I
not
didn't think
sure
about
what
that.
kind of rules there are towards that,
Right.
but me and my friends are all excited to kind of start this game all together. But
That's
even
fantastic.
when that game comes out, I feel like Warframe is a game I'll always come back to because it just has a unique itch that other games I don't feel can scratch. And it's
That's
one of the
awesome.
few games that I have put money towards because it is it has been worth it. The creators have been worth it. They, don't make anything pay to win. A lot of the stuff is either cosmetic or it's, more slots to hold more warframes, more weapons, and stuff like that. And they have just been a genuinely good creator in a world that is full of not great creators. We've
Yep.
definitely had some dramas in
Yep.
the video game space, so it's like they're just like a breath of fresh air, and the game is completely free. You can
That is
go
awesome.
the whole game if you want to without spending a dime, but it's I find the game to be worth it to put money into it, so I have.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. And I have to agree with you. The free aspect is what initially allowed me to try the game. There are times where I will pay for a game.
Mm-hmm.
Like the like last year's Call of Duty. I
Mm-hmm.
paid for it because I have some friends. We like to just kind of relax, play some Call of Duty, and enjoy it. And the game was so bad that I tried to force myself to like the game, and I
Mm-hmm.
didn't, and it just made that relationship so much worse. But there is it. I don't. It feels really good when a good game comes out, and they're also like, hey, like it's either going to be like Helldivers wasn't even expensive. It
Yeah.
was $40 for a game, which is already $20 cheaper than a normal game, and it
Mm-hmm.
did so much like better than most games, even though there were a lot of flaws that they eventually fixed.
Yeah.
Um, I did want to ask because speaking of like the free games and Warframe and stuff, have you looked into First Descendant?
I have it on my list of games to look into.
It
Like
is it's not bad.
whenever these directs come out and
Yeah.
everything, I keep a list for me and my husband for like games that either of us are like interested in looking into, and then I just have and like I put the release dates to look at. So that is a game I do want to re-look into because I remember it looked interesting when they um did the preview for it.
Yeah. It's honestly, I didn't think that I was going to like it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I ended up really, really enjoying. I'm pretty sure I did spend like an entire weekend just
Oh,
playing it. Like
nice.
it is very good. It's not something I play all day, every day, all the time anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I'm also discovering new games that um I never really thought that I would get into, which has
Right.
been a huge benefit to this entire like passion project of mine. With the podcast and streaming and everything, I've been finding games that I never thought I would love, and I've been loving them. Case in point, Cult of the Lambs has been my weird hyperfixation lately. I love that game. It is so
That
good.
game looks so interesting. I definitely want to try it.
Yeah, you should. It truly is really it is the it is the perfect level of super dark and super cute mashed
Yeah.
together to make one hell of a game. And it is very fun. It's cozy, but also like still like there's always something to do, so it's always feeding the dopamine. But
Mm-hmm.
it's truly a really good game.
Yeah.
Um, so wow, an hour has already passed. So I want to hit one last subject here
Yeah,
before
sure.
we call this one, and I definitely want to do another episode with you in the future.
Absolutely.
Um, but I would love to talk about something that is not typically something that you see in the streaming and gaming world. I know it definitely happens. I know it happens a lot, but it is not typically seen. Couples gaming. This is awesome. I am a married individual. My wife does not play games.
Mm-hmm.
So this is basically a passion of mine that she loves, that I love it. If
Mm-hmm.
it is the best way to put it. Like
Is she a reader?
how'd you figure that one out?
I've been seeing that meme go around a lot lately where gamer meets reader, and it is hilariously accurate.
Well, that just became a clip.
Yeah.
Yes. My wife is 100% a reader, and is actually currently writing her own book. But yes, that trope is a very real thing. Romance reader, super nerd gamer. I don't know what it is, but we just go hand in hand. It has been like a trope in the world. But
Without giving too much information away, I will say that I am also currently in the middle of writing a book.
well, when that happens, we are 1,000% having you back on the show so we can talk about it.
Absolutely,
I
will
love
even
that
because I'm writing it with my best friend, so
nice.
I'll connect you two as well, and the three of us can do like a show together.
I would love that. That would be fantastic. We'd definitely have to lock that in.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to make a note of that. There is something that I really want to touch base on is couples gaming.
Yes.
The gaming as a couple, do you stream together or do you guys play in like this, like do you have like the double monitor like set up, like is it how's the whole dynamic work? That's something I've literally never been able to do.
Yeah. So I'll give you like the complete history.
I love it.
So, growing up, I wanted to get into video games, but had no idea what I was doing, had no idea what I was interested in. So, like, I'd play games here and there. I owned a PlayStation 2, I owned a GameCube, I owned the Game Boy SP and Nintendo DS. And so it was like, I really tried to get into games. And so when me and my husband met, he was in the middle of playing a barely known game known as World of Warcraft.
Yeah, what's that?
And he, I said, like, I was interested in trying it,
Sure.
Can you show it to me? And so he let me play on his account, and then, like, I got, one of those free accounts that you get like 30-day free trials or whatever.
Sure.
And next thing I know, I'm playing the whole damn game. I don't even think I waited for the free trial to end before I bought the game.
Nice.
So I had gotten really into World of Warcraft, and we would play that together all the time.
Yeah.
And I actually had, when I started, I think he was on vacation or something like that, but I was like, I'm gonna play on my own so that I can get used to it, try and get caught up a little bit to him.
Right.
By the way, I started with, like, just around as Cataclysm came out, for people to know where I was at this. It was right before Shaman got their, like, rework and everything. So I was playing a Tauren Paladin, and I ended up getting invited to this guild, which when my husband got home, I invited him to the guild, and these people, like, ran me through dungeons, tried to help me level up and everything,
right.
And that was, like, such a great experience. Between Mists of Pandaria and the release of the following game, which I don't remember which it was, is when we kind of dropped off from that. But, during all that, he was trying to get me into some other games, which is when, like, my motion sick really became a problem, because he was playing games like Prototype and Assassin's Creed and stuff like that, and not being used to video games, like,
stay away from Mirror's Edge.
My motion sickness was very bad. I could probably go back to Assassin's Creed and be not as bad anymore. Maybe Prototype, but Prototype's a little bit iffy with how that movement is.
Well, I've definitely been going into any game that I play now. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just because of the stream setup and like my lighting and everything, but like I'm a lot closer to the screen now. And so like, yeah, there's a lot of times where like that motion sickness has been like kind of more of a thing now in my life.
Yeah.
I've been noticing something that's been helping me big time is turning all motion blur off.
Yeah, I think that's one thing that like I have to do at the start of a lot of games
Yeah.
now is
It's like
just
the number
go
one
through.
thing when I open a new game, I don't even try. Like I just the first thing
Yeah,
motion blur goes off because I'm not gonna have the experience I want to have if I'm like halfway through a game and I'm just feeling queasy, you know.
exactly. So from there, like once when we moved in together, we had in our apartment setup, we actually had two TVs right next to each other so we could play video games together.
Oh, nice.
So uh
Love that.
I think the first game we really played with each other was Monster Hunter World. So every game
Nice.
that I've gotten into with him, it's always started out with like him playing and me watching and me. So I was the reading girl. That's my bookshelf over there. I
So you're
was
telling
the
me there's a
reading.
chance I can convert my wife?
It's possible. Another non-paid promotion, I would say honestly for if you're looking for a couple that plays games together and the guy really goes through his girlfriend's perspective of trying games when she's not a gamer,
Sure.
is Boy Meets Girl.
That feels pretty on point.
Yeah, and it's so good, and it's become like now they're like married, and they like she's getting really into the games, like she's getting really into like Elden Ring and stuff like that, and she's
Nice.
like bypassing him now, so it's like
Whoa.
really like if you're looking for something to watch for like a couples gaming, again, not paid promotion. I don't know them personally. It's just a YouTube channel that I watch,
Yeah.
you know. Um,
Yeah, I've
but
always just been I like to see the common interests. It's always
mm-hmm,
like super nice. My wife doesn't avoid it, which
mm-hmm,
is always nice. You know, she's just not she's not the typical like console gamer,
yeah,
which is always fine. I will say if you ever catch our streams and you want to see the wifey show up, she does every so often show up in our streams, mainly on like the Saturday Sunday streams.
okay,
And I have a second microphone set up specifically. You can't see over on this direction of the
yeah,
camera. There is a nice comfy like lounger chair. And
mm-hmm,
then we set her up there and we set up the second microphone and I have it all set up for when she wants to join in on the stream. She gets her own microphone, she gets commentary, she'll interact with chat and everything, and it's usually against me. Usually,
yeah.
she'll
Of course,
yeah,
always.
she teams up with chat, and it's usually just an hour and a half of me trying to defend myself.
Yeah, yeah,
But it is. I am very grateful that she loves that I love it and she
mm-hmm,
enjoys being involved in it.
yeah,
It is very fun, very entertaining. There was a time in as of the time of this recording, last week, she jumped in on our stream and we had ordered food. So I went to go get the food,
and
and so
she kept the
she
masses
took my
entertained.
she took my place and she was trying to play the game that I was playing, and
Mm-hmm,
of course we started playing the new game that just came out, Black Myth Wukong,
mm-hmm.
and when I came back, everyone was telling me how much better she was at the game, and I
Yeah.
was like, "Don't you turn on me? What is this about?" Like,
Yeah, both me and my husband have streamed on and off. So when we were at the apartment, he would stream um Skyrim, he would
love
stream
it.
Subnautica. Um
Also very good.
and so I was the one who was sitting there reading chat for him while he was playing, and me and chat were against him and
Yep.
whatnot. And then I got my start playing Terra, which is another
Yeah.
free MMO. Um, Honestly, I have a hard time finding anything that can run Terra smoothly. I tried it on the PlayStation 4 once, and it just refused to load. It was good in the time, like I really enjoyed it, and I had gotten my chat had gotten really interactive with it. We all met up in game and we would go do dungeons and stuff like that. It was really cool. But Terra it's a free MMO.
Yeah.
Guys,
no, that's fantastic.
Don't expect a lot from it. It's a free MMO. The graphics are great. It doesn't run the best.
Yeah. But it's almost kind of nice though, because when you play a free game like that, and it exactly what just happened, you're able to laugh at it. Yes. Now, if it was like, oh, that was an $85 game.
Oh yeah.
And it doesn't run, it would be an entirely different conversation.
It was also very much like a fan service type of MMO. Sure. You had the cutesy girl with the big hammer. You had the, like, I'm gonna say tiefling-esque type people with their, like, shirts open and their, like, pouty look. It was definitely a fan service type of game. And yeah, it's great to laugh at. Good memories of playing it, even if it ran like crap. But it looked beautiful. But
that's awesome.
But yeah, so a lot of the games me and my husband have played, it's been him playing, me watching, and him going, you should give this a try, and me being all hesitant about it, and then I give it a try, and then I get really into it.
Yeah,
so,
of course.
I believe, if I remember correctly, our first game like that was Monster Hunter World.
Nice.
And Monster Hunter World was a game that I refused to play by myself, because the very first time I played it, and the first mission is to hunt the Great Jagras.
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to look for him, and I turned around, and I had an Anjanath in my face. And I freaked out.
Yeah.
And so, like, for the longest time, it was always I had to play with my husband, or I had to play with one of our friends or something like that. Then finally, I think around the time of Iceborne, I was like, I'm going to create a new character, and I'm going to fight each monster at least once by myself.
Nice.
And so I did that. I did it all the way up to, what's the final boss in Iceborne?
Yeah, I can't help you on this one. I did not complete the game.
I haven't done much beyond the final boss, so, like, they kind of have, like, afterwards, like, a mini, open world setting, and I haven't gotten all the way through that. Someone in your comments is going to know the name and is going to put it in your comments, because they're awesome that way. But whatever the boss was, it was very freaky, and I did it solo after many deaths, and good times. But in all seriousness, it's a game that I absolutely love. Got my Monster Hunter shirt on right now.
Love it.
And then the other game, Warframe, of us playing together, was he was in the office. I was still in college, I think. I was either in college or I was working a night shift job. And either way, my husband was at work, and he texts me and is like, there's an event going on in Warframe. Nick is gonna hop on with you, and he's just going to run through so that I can get the event bonus. So, like, you don't have to do anything. So, I'm sitting there, and I'm like, I die, like, almost instantly, and our friend is just like, okay, you just stay dead. I'm gonna quickly run through, do the objective, and come back for you.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay. And so that's what happened, and then, like, I'm, like, moving through it, and I'm like, I'm getting too motion sick for this, and, like, I would watch him play, and I would
Right.
get very motion sick. So I can't watch someone play a game that would normally get me motion sick. I might be able to play it, cannot watch it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's because you'll be able to control it.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
we eventually got to the end. Like, I know it causes me motion sick, but like the moving around like that was kind of fun.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, I wouldn't mind giving it a try. And my husband's like, well, it's free. And so I'm like, okay, I'll get it and I'll consider it. And, when I would play it, like, I could only play it for a little bit at a time because of the motion sick. And then eventually, the more I played it, the more my body and my brain got used to it. And now, really, the only time I get motion sick from it is when I'm looking for syndicate symbols in syndicate missions. And like doing that intense search, and I'm moving the camera around looking for them, and I'm just like, that'll get me motion sick, but otherwise I'm not that bad.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I love all of that. As I also really like that, it was more of a discovery of the video games, and like kind of like overcoming or understanding the motion sickness a little more, but also like all of this through the partnership of like the couples gaming and stuff, and that is such an awesome thing, especially to know that the reader spouse can go and become the gamer spouse. So that that's a beacon of hope for me.
Yes. But yeah, like, it's been really good. Like, my husband has helped me get into gaming as much as I had wanted to as a kid.
That's
He
awesome.
really helps me find like games that I might be into, and sometimes it's games that I'm like very meh about, and sometimes it's games that I end up really loving, and I'm now able to more discover games on my own that I like as well, that maybe he's not so interested in. Like Fire Emblem I absolutely love, and he's just not as intrigued in, and I'm just like, so now I also have my own games that I have an interest in, instead of just the games that he also has interest in, and I can kind of try and introduce him to certain games.
Right. Yeah, my wife almost, I have to give her credit, because she did kind of put me to like a certain genre of games that like I said before at the beginning of this, like definitely games that I didn't expect to play. Like I'm a very big the Call of Duty, like the first person shooters are always fun, but I'm a big like adventure, put a sword in my hand, point me in a direction, tell me the objective, and I'm in. And
give me fantasy with a story.
Bingo.
And
oh my god, yes, that's what I'm talking about. So we had there was over in 2020, the whole world shut down, we're all bored out of our damn minds, and I was like, you know what, like my wife wanted to, or showed interest in playing Animal Crossing. I went and bought a Switch. Bought a Switch, bought Animal Crossing, and then I was watching, her play it, and I was like, this is actually kind of nice. I started getting into it, and then I was like introduced into the whole world of like cozy games, and I was like, this actually is kind of awesome, and I've enjoyed them. So it is nice. There's always that respect for the the couples gaming type of thing. So we have unfortunately approached the end of our episode. And at the end, I always like to keep the floor completely wide open so that you can shout out anything and everything that you want to shout out, anything from a project you're working on, where we can find you, all the way to a sandwich you had last week.
Okay.
And so at the end of the episode, send me all the links to what you want to throw in there, and we always put them at the link or in the description below each episode. So yeah, tell us where can we find you? What are you doing? What are you working on?
All right. You can find me at YouTube and on Twitch, Beluga358. On Twitter, I think I'm also Beluga358, but on Threads, I'm the Beluga358. And you can obviously check out my YouTube. I throw all of my VODs up on there. I've done some of my editing that I have told you about is on there, and there's a little bit of a mixture of all different kinds of styles while I'm still trying to find my style and still trying to rebrand. But you can see all of that stuff on my YouTube. And if my Elden Ring video gets 1,000 views, I will fight my first remembrance boss.
There you go.
And
1,000 views.
If my Breath of the Wild video gets 20 likes, I'm trying to remember what I committed to here. I think if my Breath of the Wild video gets 20 likes, I'll finish the Great Plateau. So one thing I do on my channel besides like streaming games regularly is I stream myself playing a game for the very first time.
Yeah.
Now, Elden Ring, Breath of the Wild, my Witcher one is coming up soon. All of those I had streamed before as a first try.
Yeah.
And I never saved them, so I did go back and redo them. So if you like watch until the end, you can kind of get my perspective on how I felt before versus how I felt about it now.
That's awesome.
So I'll say that I ended up liking Breath of the Wild more the second time rather than the first time around.
1,000%.
And Elder Scrolls, I'm still kind of indifferent about. It's a little bit too challenging for me, and my husband knows that I can get a bit ragey when I get frustrated, so I have to keep myself in check.
Yep.
I have been known to throw a controller or two, so now I work more on my anger management.
Yep.
So definitely at least check out those videos. I also tried Nier Automata for the first time. Wasn't my most favorite game. Wasn't a fan of the arcadey style in the beginning. But you can check all of those out on my YouTube, as well as keep up with my Devil May Cry run. I think I just need to upload the last stream I did, the last VOD I did.
Fantastic.
Eventually I will be getting back to my Pokemon journey. So what my Pokemon journey is I'm trying to complete every generation of Pokemon game.
Nice.
So from Fire Red to what's the last one? Ruby and Scarlet.
Yeah.
So one thing is when I first played Pokemon, I couldn't get past the Elite Four back then. I think I was around like 10, 11 years old. So when I couldn't beat any game after that either. So when I finally beat Pokemon Scarlet, I felt a renewed vigor. And so I decided I'm going to go through every single generation. I'm only picking one per generation, so Fire Red instead of Red, and so on and so forth. When I complete my Pokemon journey, become a self-proclaimed Pokemon master,
right,
I'm getting a Pokemon tattoo.
Nice.
Yes.
Weirdly enough, I've always loved Pokemon. I don't have one yet, but I have filled it up with all my other nerd shit.
Yeah.
So.
I actually have, me and my best friend got a matching Baldur's Gate tattoo.
What?
It's on my ankle, so I'm not going to be showing my feet on camera, guys. I'm sorry. Like, you have to pay for that.
That's a different platform.
Yeah, that's a different platform that I don't have an account to. But yeah, I have a matching Baldur's Gate tattoo. It's Warding Bond that me and my best friend have. And then I don't really have a lot of other nerd tattoos yet. That's on the way. That is to come. I have a hot air balloon tattoo and whatnot. But yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
I love that.
So yeah, when I finally defeat that journey, I'm getting my Squirtle Squad Squirtle tattoo.
Nice.
And, yeah.
With the shades and everything?
Oh, it has to be with the shades. I was actually talking to my husband about the design. I might get Squirtle with the Squirtle Squad sunglasses on
Yep.
top of a Lapras with the same sunglasses. So
Nice.
for those for those who don't know, I
Mm-hmm.
actually really love the element of fire. I would prefer fire Pokemon or whatever,
Same.
but Squirtle's my homie, and I've always wanted to ride a Lapras.
Yeah.
I was like, this looks uncomfortable as heck, but I still want to do it because they did it in
Yeah.
Pokemon. They
Of
somehow
course.
managed to like go on long journeys on a Lapras, so
Yeah, I'm all
I'm
for it.
like if you ask me like some of my favorite Pokemon, you're gonna find out that weirdly they're a lot like water Pokemon and not fire Pokemon, but I would
Oh, that's
still prefer
yeah.
fire
I
Pokemon.
was gonna say I go fire all the way. It's my thing. Like it's the best.
As far as starters go, because like I choose my starters a lot based on the looks,
Yep.
especially the final evolution looks.
Yep.
Um, I have between the 9 generations of games, I have evenly chosen 3 water, 3 grass, 3 fire.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I think I've gone fire every time I've ever played, except I never chose Cyndaquil, and I've
Ooh.
chosen Piplup a couple of times.
Oh, okay.
But that's my
So
other than that, I usually will always go fire.
first 2 generations, I love Charmander. I have to choose Squirtle. Squirtle Squad all the way.
All right.
Uh, second generation, I love Cyndaquil. But Chikorita was Silver was my very first Pokemon game,
Yep.
and Chikorita was my very first Pokemon because I was 10 years old. So of course I liked the little cute leafy flower
Right.
Pokemon. So I was like, I now have to choose Chikorita every time.
Oh, I love that. I was actually just reminiscing because I was like, woof, my first game was the original Red. Like
I think I had the original Red and I had Yellow,
yeah.
but it was in a time where I just didn't understand games that very well, and it wasn't until someone gave me a silver or gold cartridge. I still can't remember which one it is,
Yeah.
but I prefer silver over gold, so I just always go with silver. It wasn't until they gave me the silver cartridge and I was like playing it and they sort of showed me how to do things and I really like
Sure.
just sat down and focused on it.
Yeah.
That was really technically the first Pokemon game and I think the first official game I've ever played.
Nice. That is fantastic. Well, I we are absolutely going to have to schedule another one
Absolutely.
because
There's just too much to talk about.
I was literally just gonna say that.
Yeah.
I'd spend so much time on just like the Pokemon like in like the world in general.
Yeah.
So everyone goes, please check out the links below. If you want to find myself, I am on Instagram at Phoenix Stewart, as always. But also, you will find the show on TikTok. You can find the clips of episodes that have already come out and episodes of the clips of the episodes that are coming out that current week. You will also be able to find us on Twitch every Saturday and Sunday and Monday mornings. So go check that out, link below. And you can also find us on I think that maybe the Facebook group will be up by this time this episode comes out. I don't know. We'll find out. Keep an eye out for it. I don't know. Procrastination. But as always, thank you so much for being here. I really, really appreciate you doing this. This was a fantastic opportunity to be able to have this conversation with you. For the rest of you, as always, please go outside, look up at the sky, feel the sun on your face, hug a tree, and high five a squirrel, and we will catch you on the next one.